Hey guys, Rob with AIM. Just wanted to go over 4 stretches that we use quite a bit in the sport of triathlon. You always hear you need to stretch after you're working out and everything. We want to take it to another level because you can actually hurt yourself trying to work on stretching and increasing your flexibility if you don't do it correctly. The first muscle group we're going to talk about is the quadriceps, okay? There's 2 things that you need to really focus on when you're stretching quads. First thing is when you go to stretch your quads, the tendency that a lot of people have is they want to squeeze their heel up against their bottom, all right? We don't want that to happen. We want there to be a slight gap between your heel and your bottom, okay? What that does is it saves putting a lot of duress on the patella tendon. Very, very important. Our knees take enough abuse as it is. The second thing you need to be thinking about is that the knee needs to be pointing straight down. You can see from the side, my knee's not up here, it's not back here. The idea is you want your pelvis in a neutral position, the quadriceps are straight down, okay? And what I want you to do is just hold that stretch for 3 to 5 seconds, and then what you're going to do is you're going to tilt your pelvis away from you. Notice that my foot doesn't move. I'm holding it in the same place, okay? When you go and you tilt your pelvis away from you, you're going to feel the deepening of the stretch in the dead center, rectus femoris, the dead center of the quadriceps. Very, very important muscle group. Every time you heel strike, every time you go through your pedal stroke, you're using rectus femoris. You're using all of the 4 muscles in the quads, okay? Quadriceps, a very overlooked muscle group, but a very important one. So think about that when you're doing quads. Knee needs to be down, a gap, hold it for 3 to 5. When you feel the tension start to release, go ahead and tilt your pelvis out. That'll deepen the stretch, okay? The second one that I want to go to, believe it or not, is I want to show you how not to stretch hamstrings. We were told to do this at an early age. They told us to simply take and cross one leg over and bend over, okay, and stretch. The problem with that is the hamstrings are designed that when you stand on one leg, it's designed to stabilize the kneecap so it doesn't buckle. So what you're doing is you're asking a muscle to contract and relax at the same time, and obviously those 2 cannot exist at the same time. So what our goal is to try to find something, and depending on your flexibility, don't get out of control and think that you have to have your leg up at 90 degrees. If you can only get your leg up here and you feel the strain from behind the kneecap up underneath your bottom, that's all you got. That's fine, okay? Your goal is to ultimately get it so that you're at 90 degrees. Why is that so important? Because the pelvis is going to be squared off. You're going to isolate the hamstrings from the bottom of your hip bones to the back of your kneecaps. The toe is going to be in a neutral position. Notice I'm not pushing it forward. I'm not pulling it back. Okay, it's simply in a neutral position. The other thing that you need to look at is look at the bottom leg. All right, that foot needs to be pointing at all times straight forward. Everything needs to be going in a forward position. The reason being is if my foot is turned outward like this, I've changed the angle of my hips. I've lost the attachment of the muscle group. Very important. Everything is leaning forward. Here's what you want to do to stretch hamstrings. You're simply going to keep your chest in a neutral position. You're going to lean forward until you feel a comfortable snug, and then you're going to hold it for 3 to 5 seconds. Okay? Then you come back up. Now, if you're one of the few people that can stretch and get your chest all the way down to your leg, then what you can do is you can bring your chest down and then gently pull your calves, pull your toes back. You'll feel it engage the calf muscle. You'll feel it enhance the lengthening and the stretching of the hamstrings. It's a very sophisticated stretch. If you have a dance background or something like that and you can go down there, great, go for it. But for the majority of the people, just having the toes squared up and straight down is what you're looking for. The second group that we want to go into is going to be the adductors, which is the inside and outside. abductors, adductors, okay? My thing is I don't like you to waste a lot of time. So we'll go back to the hamstring stretch, assuming you did quads, you've gone to hamstring. While you're in that position, bottom foot is pointing forward, what you're going to do to work the inner thigh is you're simply going to let that foot drop away from you. Notice that my chest is straight up. Every time we move the hip, you need to be in a neutral position. So now what we've done is I've dropped the leg out, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to lean forward towards it. And you're going to feel the adductor muscle from the inner part of the knee up against your groin, okay? And all you're going to do is go to where you get a comfortable pull, and then you're going to stop, all right? Come back up to neutral. Then you're going to tilt your foot in. It's going to work on the deep lateral rotators of the hip. I'm going to warn you, this is an area that it is the problem of piriformis syndrome, all kinds of pain in the hip. Sometimes it leads to ITB. There's a numerous amount of issues that runners and triathletes and cyclists will encounter because the hip will not rotate medially towards the middle of the body. You don't have to go far. You just have to get the head of the femur to rotate internally, and then you're going to rotate, you're just going to drop down to it. Feel for a comfortable pull, hold it for 3 to 5 seconds, and then simply release. Okay? So those stretches there, you started with your quads, you went to the hamstring, you went to the inner and the outer part of the leg. All right? The last one we're going to do is calves. All right? And the calves are a little bit interesting because we want to be careful. Traditionally, we were told it needs to be a lot of weight bearing, and you want to push through it. When you get down into this ankle area called the calcaneus area, it doesn't have a lot of fresh blood flow to it. You can kind of feel around and see that it's pretty bony. Okay? So the idea here is you want to make sure that when you're stretching your calves, it's as much off the weight as possible. So what we like to do with our athletes is simply just have them lean back and just pull your toe towards the sky. Okay? You'll feel it all the way from in the ankle area all the way up into the back of the leg, and then just relax it and bring it back. Don't worry about trying to pull it. All right? Most of the time, just pulling your toes back, you're going to engage tibialis anterior on the front of the leg. You're getting both the heads of the gastrocs and the soleus in the back of the leg. That's what you want to do to stretch calves. Okay? And if you do it correctly, you'll get the same sensation that you did when you would normally go back and stretch them like this. There's nothing wrong with this stretch, but the biggest problem with this stretch is people have a tendency to use their body weight and they overdo it, and they end up tearing their calf muscles in an attempt to improve your range of motion. Okay? So those are your stretches that we're looking for the quads, the hamstrings, the inner and outer thigh, and as well as the calf muscles. So we hope that this series has been beneficial for you. If you have any questions, email us, Robb, R-O-B-B, number 3 @earthlink.net.